Welcome to SleepLore. This is where curiosity finds comfort, science takes a gentle path, and sometimes the grandest questions of existence turn into the coziest stories to lull you to sleep. Tonight, our gaze stretches beyond the familiar, past the ticking clocks of our daily lives, and even beyond the farthest stars we can imagine. We're embarking on a truly vast and profound journey, one that asks a question so immense it touches everything we know and everything we are. We're going to gently open the door to ponder. Is the universe alive? This question, is the universe alive, might at first sound like something from an ancient myth, or perhaps a poem whispered under a starlit sky. Yet, it's a question that has quietly echoed through philosophical thoughts for ages, resonated in many spiritual traditions, and surprisingly, even finds intriguing hints at the edges of modern science. If we consider the universe in its entirety, its birth, its vastness, its incredible complexity, the way it changes and grows, does it exhibit qualities that remind us of life? Is it merely a colossal machine operating on cold, predictable laws? Or is there something more, a deeper, vibrant pulse beating through the cosmos itself? Is it possible that the universe is not just the stage upon which life plays out, but life itself, in a form far grander than we can easily grasp? Before we gently delve deeper into these profound thoughts, I'd love to know, where in the world are you listening from tonight? And what are your initial feelings about this idea? Does the thought of a living universe bring you a sense of wonder, or perhaps a touch of unease? It's rather fitting, isn't it? A conversation about the very aliveness of everything. And here we are, together, each in our own quiet corner of the universe, connected by a question that is as ancient as the stars, and as intimate as our own breath. If you find this journey soothing, perhaps intriguing enough to gently stir your curiosity before sleep, or simply a nice way to unwind after a long day, I'd be ever so grateful if you gave this video a like. And if you wish to continue exploring the wonders of the universe and yourself in this calm, unhurried way, please consider subscribing and sharing this peaceful space with someone else who might also need a quiet pause. Now, I truly hope this topic isn't so fascinating that it keeps you wide awake. But if it does, well, at least you'll have pondered one of existence's grandest questions before you finally drift off. So, settle in, take a deep breath, slow your thoughts, and let's begin this exploration. Because somewhere between the birth of stars and the dance of galaxies, between the smallest particles and the vast expanse of time, lies the extraordinary question of whether the universe itself is truly alive. To even begin to ask if the universe is alive, we must first gently pause and consider what we truly mean by life itself. It's a question that biologists, philosophers, and even poets have grappled with for centuries. If we think about the creatures around us, a tiny insect, a towering tree, or even ourselves, what are the common threads, the quiet patterns that mark them as living? Biologists have given us several familiar characteristics that define individual life forms. First, there's organization. Living things are not just random collections of parts, but are highly structured, with intricate systems working together. Think of the delicate machinery within a single cell, or the complex interplay of organs in a body. Next, there's metabolism. Living things take in energy and matter from their surroundings, transform them, and release waste. This is how they grow, move, and maintain themselves. A plant quietly drawing sunlight, a creature seeking food. These are all acts of metabolism. Then, life exhibits growth and development. Living things become larger and more complex over time, following a set of instructions, often hidden within their very essence. They also demonstrate response to stimuli. They react to changes in their environment. A flower turning towards the sun, an animal sensing danger, these are quiet acts of responsiveness. Crucially, living things reproduce. They create new generations of themselves, ensuring the continuation of their kind. And finally, they undergo adaptation through evolution. Over vast spans of time, living populations change, becoming better suited to their surroundings. This is how life on Earth has unfolded into such astonishing diversity. These are the familiar markers for individual organisms, the life we can observe directly. But what happens when we try to stretch these definitions to something as immense and sprawling as the entire universe? Does the universe eat? Does it breathe? Does it reproduce in any way we can recognize? At first glance, it seems that these definitions, designed for earthly creatures, simply don't fit the cosmic scale. However, the very act of defining life is itself a delicate dance. Is a single virus alive? It doesn't metabolize on its own. What about a crystal that grows in a solution? It lacks responsiveness. The boundaries of life are often blurry, and perhaps our current understanding is simply too narrow, too focused on carbon-based life on a single planet. Could there be forms of existence, grander and more subtle, that embody aliveness in ways we haven't yet learned to recognize? This opens a quiet space for new possibilities, inviting us to look beyond the obvious and consider life in its most expansive, perhaps even spiritual forms. Now, let's gently take those ideas about what makes something alive and apply them thoughtfully to the universe itself. We're looking for echoes of life, not literal breath, but deeper patterns. First, consider organization. Our universe, far from being a random, chaotic soup, exhibits an astonishing level of structure and order. From the smallest particles, like quarks and electrons, following precise rules, to the vast webs of galaxies stretching across billions of light years, there is an intricate hierarchy. Atoms combine to form molecules. Molecules form dust. Dust gathers into stars and planets. Stars group into galaxies. And galaxies arrange themselves into immense cosmic filaments and superclusters. This grand structure isn't haphazard. It's the result of fundamental forces like gravity and electromagnetism orchestrating a cosmic dance. This immense self-organizing complexity might just be the universe's own unique form of body or structure. It's not a simple, single organism, but a complex, interconnected system. Next, let's ponder growth and development. The universe certainly isn't static. It is constantly evolving. From its very first moments, the Big Bang, a point of unimaginable density and heat, it has been expanding, cooling, and becoming ever more complex. Over billions of years, simple hydrogen and helium atoms forged in the early moments have transformed into heavier elements inside stars. These elements then became the building blocks for planets, for complex molecules, and ultimately for life itself. This journey from a hot, simple beginning to a vast, intricate, and diverse cosmos could be seen as the universe's grand development, its own form of growth. It's a continuous unfolding, a cosmic maturation, where complexity emerges from simplicity. And what about evolution and adaptation? While the universe itself doesn't reproduce in the way a single organism does, it undergoes a constant process of change and refinement. Fundamental constants, the precise values of gravity, electromagnetism, and other forces, seem incredibly fine-tuned for the emergence of stars, planets, and life. Some thinkers wonder, is this mere chance, or is there a deeper principle at work? The universe produces stars, which then create the elements necessary for planets, which in turn can host life. Some theories even suggest that our universe might be just one in a vast multiverse, where other universes might have different laws, and perhaps only those with the right laws can develop observers. This could be seen as a kind of cosmic selection, a very grand, slow-motion evolution of universes themselves, selecting for those that can give rise to complexity and even consciousness. Of course, these are not the definitions of life we use for a tree or a bird. The universe doesn't have DNA, nor does it typically respond to a single stimulus in an instant. But if we expand our perspective, if we allow our minds to gently stretch beyond our usual understanding of life, we can begin to see intriguing echoes of life's characteristics in the very fabric of the cosmos. These deep patterns of organization, growth, and development invite us to consider the universe not just as a cold, dead machine, but as a dynamic, unfolding entity, perhaps alive in a way. If we continue to gently explore the idea of a living universe, we must then consider its metabolism and its breathing. How does the universe take in and use energy? Does it have cycles like the rhythms of life we see all around us? Think about energy and its transformation. The universe is an immense engine of energy conversion. Stars are colossal furnaces, turning mass into light and heat through nuclear fusion, a constant outpouring of energy. This energy then travels across vast distances, warming planets, powering photosynthesis on Earth, and driving the movements of galaxies. Matter itself is recycled. Stars are born from cosmic dust and gas. They live out their lives, and then they die, often in spectacular explosions called supernovae. These explosions scatter heavy elements, the very building blocks of planets and life, back into space to be gathered up again for the birth of new stars and solar systems. This continuous cycle of creation, transformation, and recycling of matter and energy can be seen as the universe's own grand metabolism, a never-ending process of consuming, transforming, and renewing its own substance. Consider also the cosmic cycles. Just as living beings have rhythms, the beating of a heart, the cycle of day and night, the seasons, the universe also has its own immense cycles. Galaxies rotate, stars orbit within galaxies, and perhaps even clusters of galaxies move in larger unseen patterns. On a smaller scale, planets orbit stars, creating the rhythms of years and seasons on a habitable world. While these cycles are physical, they create the very conditions for life to flourish and evolve, suggesting a deep connection between the universe's fundamental workings and the rhythms of life within it. There are even theories that suggest the universe might undergo grander, more dramatic cycles of birth, expansion, and eventual recollapse or rebirth. Some ideas propose a cyclic universe or big bounce model, where the universe expands to a certain point, then contracts again, eventually leading to another big bang, a new beginning. If such a cycle were true, it would be the ultimate form of cosmic metabolism and reproduction, a universe endlessly breathing in and out, experiencing death and rebirth on an unimaginable scale. While these are still speculative ideas, they invite us to think of the universe not as a one-time event, but as an ongoing, perhaps even living, process of endless renewal. Even the fundamental forces themselves, like gravity, can be seen as part of this cosmic breath. Gravity pulls matter together, forming stars and galaxies, creating the very organs of the universe. The expansion of the universe, on the other hand, stretches space, moving galaxies apart. This delicate balance between pulling together and expanding outward could be viewed as the universe's own form of respiration, a grand, slow, cosmic breath, essential for its continued existence and evolution. So, while the universe doesn't have a mouth to eat or lungs to breathe in the way a creature does, when we look at its fundamental processes, the endless dance of energy, the recycling of matter, and the grand cycles of creation and destruction, we can begin to perceive a kind of cosmic metabolism, a vibrant, active process that keeps the universe alive and constantly changing. It challenges us to expand our usual definitions of life and to look for its essence in the very vastness of everything. This part of our journey might feel the most mysterious as we gently ask, could the universe itself possess a form of awareness or even a kind of cosmic mind? This isn't about the universe having a brain like ours, but about deeper forms of consciousness or information processing. Consider first the idea of information. The universe is full of information, from the tiny bits of data in every particle's spin to the complex genetic code in living beings. Information seems to be a fundamental part of reality. Everything that happens, every interaction, every transformation, leaves a trace, creates new information. Some physicists and thinkers suggest that information itself might be a basic building block of the universe, just as fundamental as energy and matter. If the universe is constantly processing, storing, and creating information on a cosmic scale, could this be a very basic form of what we call consciousness or awareness? Then we encounter ideas from quantum mechanics, the study of the very small. In the quantum world, things are strangely interconnected. Particles can be entangled, meaning they are linked in such a way that measuring one instantly affects the other, no matter how far apart they are. This non-local connection suggests a deeper unity, a kind of shared awareness that is hard to explain with our usual understanding of space and time. Some radical ideas even suggest that consciousness might play a role in shaping reality at the quantum level, or that consciousness itself is a fundamental property of the universe, rather than just something created by brains. This is a very complex and debated area, but it quietly hints at a universe that might be more interconnected and aware than we imagine. Philosophers have long pondered panpsychism, the idea that consciousness or mind is a fundamental property of the universe, present in all things, not just complex brains. This doesn't mean a rock thinks, but that it has a tiny basic form of inner experience or proto-consciousness. If this were true, then consciousness wouldn't be something that suddenly appeared with brains, but something that has always been present, in its simplest form, in the very fabric of reality. From this perspective, the universe would not just be alive, but subtly aware, its consciousness perhaps emerging into grander forms in living beings like ourselves. Our own consciousness would then be a tiny fragment or a localized expression of this universal awareness. Think about the universe's fine-tuning. The laws and constants of our universe seem perfectly adjusted for the emergence of stars, planets, and eventually life and consciousness. If these values were slightly different, life as we know it might not exist. Some wonder, is this merely a grand coincidence? Or does it suggest a deeper principle at play, perhaps a cosmic intelligence or a form of universal consciousness that somehow chose or guided the universe to be life-friendly? This leads to fascinating, profound questions about intention and purpose on a cosmic scale, though these questions are often explored outside the strict boundaries of testable science. Of course, the idea of a conscious or aware universe is deeply speculative. We have no scientific instruments that can measure cosmic awareness or universal mind. Our understanding of consciousness itself is still very limited. However, these ideas offer a gentle way to think about the universe, not just as a collection of dead matter, but as a dynamic, interconnected, and perhaps even subtly aware entity, where our own consciousness is part of a much larger, grander story. It invites us to open our minds to possibilities that extend beyond what we can immediately grasp, and to consider the universe as a living, breathing, perhaps even thinking whole. Let's now consider the universe not just as having lifelike qualities, but as a single, immense superorganism. This idea stretches our usual understanding of life even further, inviting us to see the cosmos as a vast, interconnected living system. Think about how living organisms work. They are made of countless parts, cells, organs, systems, all working together in harmony. Our own bodies are incredible examples of this, with billions of cells collaborating to maintain life. If we apply this thinking to the universe, we can see a similar kind of systemic organization. Galaxies are like the organs of the universe, each with its own function, held together by gravity. Stars are like the energy-producing cells, constantly burning and recycling matter. Nebulae are like the cosmic nurseries, where new stars and planets are born. Black holes might be like the universe's giant recycling centers, processing matter and energy in ways we're still trying to understand. All these components are interconnected by fundamental forces and the fabric of space-time, forming a dynamic, self-regulating whole. Consider the concept of networks. In biology, life relies on complex networks, neural networks in brains, food webs in ecosystems, and communication pathways within cells. The universe, too, is a grand network. The cosmic web, formed by filaments of galaxies stretching across vast distances, connected by invisible dark matter, resembles a gigantic neural network. Information and energy flow through these cosmic connections. Could this intricate web of galaxies and matter be the universe's own nervous system, its way of organizing and perhaps even processing information on a scale we can barely imagine? This view suggests that the universe isn't just a collection of disconnected objects, but a living, breathing network. Then there's the idea of cosmic ecology. On Earth, living organisms constantly interact with their environment, influencing and being influenced by it. They form ecosystems where matter and energy are cycled. Similarly, the universe operates as a vast, self-sustaining ecosystem. Stars create elements, planets form from these elements, and life emerges on some planets, only to return its components to the cosmic dust when it fades. The universe provides the conditions for life, and in turn, life, especially conscious life, might play a role in observing or understanding the universe, perhaps even influencing its evolution in subtle ways. This suggests a symbiotic relationship, a cosmic dance where the universe gives rise to life, and life, in turn, contributes to the universe's ongoing story. This perspective is akin to the Gaia hypothesis on Earth, which suggests that our planet itself, with its biosphere, atmosphere, oceans, and land, functions as a single, self-regulating living system, maintaining conditions suitable for life. If Earth can be seen as a superorganism, could the entire universe be a superorganism? This idea invites us to shift our scale of thinking, to look at the universe not just as a collection of objects, but as a living, integrated entity where everything is intimately connected and working towards a grand cosmic purpose, even if that purpose is simply to continue to exist and evolve. Of course, this is a deeply metaphorical way of thinking. The universe doesn't have a heart that beats or lungs that breathe in the way a creature does. But if we allow ourselves to expand our definition of life beyond familiar biological forms and view the universe through the lens of its immense interconnected systems, its constant self-organization, and its intricate recycling processes, we can begin to see it as a vibrant, living entity, perhaps the ultimate superorganism. It challenges us to move beyond a purely mechanical view and to perceive the cosmos as a dynamic, unfolding whole, where life in all its forms is an intrinsic part of its being. Let's now consider another gentle way to think about the universe being alive, as a seed constantly growing and unfolding, with infinite potential. This takes us into the realm of cosmology, the study of the universe's origin and destiny. Our current understanding of the universe begins with the Big Bang, not an explosion in space, but an expansion of space itself from an incredibly hot, dense state. From that very first moment, the universe has been steadily growing, stretching out, and becoming more complex. Think of it like a tiny seed planted in the soil, which then begins to sprout, grow into a sapling, and eventually becomes a massive tree. The universe, in a similar way, began as a singular, fundamental seed of existence, containing all the potential for everything we see today. The expansion of the universe is its most defining characteristic, a continuous act of growth. Galaxies are not just flying apart through space. Space itself is stretching between them. This ongoing expansion suggests a dynamic, unfolding process, rather than a static, unchanging backdrop. It's a universe that is constantly becoming more, expanding its boundaries, creating more space for new stars, new galaxies, and new possibilities to emerge. This continuous enlargement can be seen as the universe's fundamental breathing out, a constant act of creation and differentiation. And what about infinite potential? From the simple elements born in the Big Bang, hydrogen and helium, the universe has, through countless cycles of star formation and death, forged all the heavier elements that make up planets, rocks, water, and ultimately us. It has produced the perfect conditions for complexity to arise, leading to the intricate chemistry of life. This demonstrates an incredible capacity for self-organization and creation, an endless wellspring of potential from a very simple beginning. Just as a tiny acorn holds the potential for a mighty oak forest, the early universe held the potential for galaxies, consciousness, and everything in between. Some cosmological theories even suggest that our universe might be just one bubble in a vast multiverse, a grand ocean of countless universes. If this were true, then our universe could be seen as one seed that successfully sprouted and grew among many others. In some of these multiverse theories, universes might even reproduce by creating new ones through processes like black holes or quantum fluctuations. This idea, while still very much at the edge of our understanding, takes the concept of cosmic growth and potential to an even grander scale, suggesting that the universe itself might be part of an even larger, living, cosmic forest. Moreover, the universe's journey isn't just about expansion. It's about the unfolding of its own story. It starts simple, then differentiates, forms complex structures, and eventually gives rise to observers like us, who can look back and try to understand its story. This entire cosmic narrative, from its violent birth to its vast, mysterious future, can be seen as a living tale, constantly being written and rewritten by the very forces and entities within it. So, while the universe doesn't grow like a tree in a garden, its continuous expansion, its capacity for self-organization from simple beginnings to breathtaking complexity, and the potential it holds for endless creation, allow us to see it as a grand, evolving seed. A seed that began billions of years ago and continues to sprout, grow, and unfold its magnificent living story before our very eyes. This part of our deep exploration may feel the most mysterious and perhaps the most unsettling, as we gently ask, could the universe itself possess a form of awareness, or even a kind of cosmic mind? This isn't about the universe having a brain like ours, or feeling emotions in the way humans do. but about deeper, more fundamental forms of consciousness or information processing that permeate everything. Consider first the profound nature of information. The universe is fundamentally built upon information. From the tiny bits of data encoded in every particle's spin, to the intricate patterns of every atom, to the complex genetic code in living beings, information seems to be a basic underlying fabric of reality. Everything that happens, every interaction, every transformation leaves a subtle trace, creates new information, or rearranges existing information. Some cutting-edge physicists and thinkers quietly suggest that information itself might be as fundamental as energy and matter, perhaps even more so. If the universe is constantly processing, storing, and creating information on a cosmic scale, in its particles, its fields, its very structure, could this be a very basic, pervasive form of what we call consciousness or awareness? Then we encounter the strange and often counterintuitive ideas from quantum mechanics, the study of the very small. In the quantum world, things behave in ways that defy our everyday logic. Particles can exist in many places at once until they are observed, and they can be entangled, meaning they are linked in such a way that measuring one instantly seems to affect the other, no matter how far apart they are. This non-local connection suggests a deeper unity, a kind of shared awareness or instantaneous communication that is hard to explain with our usual understanding of separate objects in space and time. Some radical ideas even suggest that consciousness might play an active role in shaping reality at the quantum level, or that consciousness itself is a fundamental property of the universe, rather than just something created much later by complex brains. This is a very complex and intensely debated area, but it quietly hints at a universe that might be more interconnected and aware, in a subtle way than we can easily grasp with our senses. Philosophers have long pondered panpsychism, a fascinating idea that suggests consciousness or mind is a fundamental property of the universe, present in all things, not just in complex brains like ours. This doesn't mean a simple rock thinks or feels in the way a human does, but rather that it possesses a tiny, very basic form of inner experience, or proto-consciousness. If this were true, then consciousness wouldn't be something that suddenly appeared out of nowhere with the evolution of brains, but something that has always been present, in its simplest, most basic form, in the very fabric of reality itself. From this perspective, the universe would not just be alive, but subtly aware, its consciousness perhaps emerging into grander, more complex forms in living beings like ourselves. Our own consciousness would then be a tiny fragment or a localized expression of this vast universal awareness. Think about the universe's remarkable fine-tuning. The laws and fundamental constants of our universe seem incredibly, almost impossibly precise, perfectly adjusted for the emergence of stars, planets, and eventually life and consciousness. If these values were even slightly different, life as we know it might simply not exist. Some thinkers quietly wonder, is this merely a grand, improbable coincidence? Or does it suggest a deeper principle at play, perhaps a cosmic intelligence or a form of universal consciousness that somehow chose or guided the universe to be so life-friendly, to foster its own self-awareness? This leads to profound and often spiritual questions about intention and purpose on a cosmic scale, though these questions are often explored outside the strict boundaries of testable science. Of course, the idea of a conscious or aware universe is deeply speculative, a frontier of thought rather than a settled scientific fact. We have no scientific instruments that can measure cosmic awareness or a universal mind. Our understanding of consciousness itself, even within a single human being, is still very limited. However, these ideas offer a gentle and expansive way to think about the universe, not just as a collection of dead matter, but as a dynamic, interconnected, and perhaps even subtly aware entity, where our own consciousness is part of a much larger, grander story. It invites us to open our minds to possibilities that extend far beyond what we can immediately grasp with our everyday senses, and to consider the universe as a living, breathing, perhaps even thinking whole. As we gently draw our cosmic journey to a close, a final, profound question naturally emerges from our exploration of a living universe. Does such a universe possess a purpose, or does its aliveness imply a deeper meaning? This takes us beyond the purely scientific into the realms of shared human experience and grand narratives. If the universe is indeed alive, breathing, growing, evolving, and perhaps even subtly aware, then its very existence might imply an inherent purpose. This isn't necessarily a purpose designed by an outside creator, but perhaps an intrinsic drive within the universe itself. Could its purpose be simply to be? To unfold its potential, to grow in complexity, to explore all possibilities, and to ultimately give rise to consciousness that can then reflect upon it. If the universe is a superorganism, then its purpose might be its own continuation, its own health, its own intricate dance of creation and destruction. Consider how life on Earth creates meaning. We tell stories, we build connections, we strive for understanding. If the universe is alive, then perhaps it too is engaged in a grand narrative, a story that is continuously writing itself. We as conscious beings are part of that story, not just passive observers. Our thoughts, our discoveries, our very awareness might be the universe's way of becoming aware of itself, of reflecting upon its own existence. Our quest for knowledge, our search for meaning, our appreciation of beauty could all be echoes of the universe's own inherent drive towards understanding and expression. This view also offers a profound sense of connection and belonging. If the universe is alive and we are part of it, then we are not separate, isolated entities. We are intimately woven into the fabric of this vast living cosmos. Every atom in our bodies was forged in the heart of a star, meaning we are literally stardust. If the universe itself is alive, then the life within us is not an anomaly, but a fundamental expression of the universe's own aliveness. This can bring a deep sense of peace, a feeling of being truly at home in the cosmos, knowing that we are an integral part of something so immensely grand and vital. This perspective invites us to reconsider our relationship with the universe. Instead of viewing it as a cold, indifferent machine, we can see it as a vast, vibrant, and perhaps even sacred entity. This might inspire a deeper sense of responsibility towards our planet, understanding that Earth is a living part of this larger cosmic body. It could foster a greater sense of wonder and reverence for the natural world and the cosmos beyond. Of course, defining the purpose or meaning of the universe is a philosophical and spiritual quest, not a scientific one. Science can describe how the universe works, but it doesn't typically answer why. However, the idea of a living universe opens up a rich space for contemplating these deeper questions. It allows us to imagine a universe with an inherent drive, a continuous unfolding of its own being, where the emergence of consciousness and life is not a random accident, but perhaps an inevitable, like beautiful expression of its fundamental aliveness. This grand narrative, where the universe itself is a living, evolving entity, gives a profound sense of interconnectedness to everything. It suggests that our existence, our consciousness, and our experiences are not just isolated events, but intimately woven into the very fabric of a cosmic dance, a continuous story of life on the grandest possible scale. We have journeyed together through the ancient lands of belief, the quiet halls of great religions, and even the bustling laboratories of modern science, all in our quest to understand if the universe is alive. Each step has offered a piece of the puzzle, a unique glimpse into this grand idea. But then, as we try to fit all these pieces together, another interesting truth gently emerges. Not every question has a simple, clear answer, especially the grand questions about existence itself, about things that seem to lie beyond our usual understanding. In our gentle exploration of a living universe, we are quietly pressed to face the limits of human knowledge, both scientifically and philosophically. Think for a moment about science, a wonderful way to understand the physical world around us. Science grows by observing, measuring, experimenting, and consistently repeating results. It looks for solid, tangible evidence, for patterns that can be predicted. But aliveness at the cosmic scale, as we've discussed, might be something so vast and fundamental that it exists outside of space and time as we commonly understand them. With its current tools and methods, science simply has no way to catch the universe's breath, to bring its consciousness into a laboratory, to weigh its life force, or to analyze it under a microscope. It's a bit like trying to capture the vastness of the ocean in a single cup. The ocean is real, You can feel its power, but you cannot capture its essence in a physical way. This doesn't mean the universe isn't alive. It simply means its aliveness might be beyond what current science can access. And we must also gently admit that our science, however advanced it has become, is still very young in the grand, flowing story of the universe. Are there laws of physics we haven't discovered yet, dimensions of reality we cannot yet sense, or forms of existence our minds can't quite imagine? Perhaps the universe's aliveness operates on a level of reality that we don't yet have the tools to perceive. Much like a person from ancient times couldn't possibly imagine radio waves or electromagnetic fields. Science is always growing and changing, and what we don't understand today might be the starting point for wonderful new discoveries tomorrow. Then there are the limits of philosophy. Philosophy is a wonderful companion for asking deep questions, creating frameworks for us to think about the world and ourselves. It helps us analyze ideas, reason logically, and explore possibilities. But philosophy, unlike science, doesn't offer practical, testable proof. It cannot definitively tell us the universe is alive, or it is not with certainty. Philosophical discussions about the nature of existence, consciousness, and what constitutes life have been going on for thousands of years and still haven't reached a final conclusion. Each school of thought has its own strong arguments, but no one has yet offered the ultimate proof to settle the debate. And sometimes, our very own language becomes a subtle barrier. We try to describe abstract, perhaps non-physical, ideas like the universe being alive, using words that were created to describe the physical world around us. It breathes, it grows, it has a mind. Are these words truly enough to capture the real nature of something that might extend beyond our physical space and time? We are trying to use a limited set of tools to solve what seems like an infinite puzzle. Perhaps the universe's aliveness is an experience, a feeling, an awareness that simply cannot be neatly packaged into any human words. It's like trying to describe the feeling of joy to someone who has never experienced it. You can use words, but you cannot convey the full, rich essence of that feeling. So, should we feel disappointed or confused when we face these unanswered questions? Perhaps not. Instead, we can learn to embrace uncertainty and mystery. Sometimes, the question itself, the very curiosity, the gentle search is what truly matters, more than a definitive final answer. The mystery of a living universe, of the deep nature of consciousness, of the purpose of existence, has been what has gently sparked human curiosity throughout all ages. It pushes us to explore, to think more deeply, and to find meaning in our lives. It makes life richer, more vibrant, instead of just a predictable set of events. The lack of a perfect, absolute answer also leaves a gentle space for personal belief and individual choice. Each of us can decide what resonates most deeply with them, based on their own experiences, their culture, and their own inner knowing. Perhaps the universe's aliveness exists not as physical evidence that science can grab, but as a living experience, a profound presence, a feeling of connection that transcends our usual understanding, an inseparable part of our mysterious existence. In the vastness of the universe and the great complexity of reality, acknowledging that there are things we don't yet understand and perhaps will never fully grasp with ordinary reason isn't a weakness. Instead, it is a sign of quiet intellectual humility and an open heart ready to embrace wonder. These very unanswered questions have shaped human history, and perhaps they will continue to be an endless source of inspiration for our ongoing journey to understand ourselves and the universe, leading us deeper into the beautiful mysteries of existence. And so, my dear fellow traveler, we have gently reached the very end of this long, expansive, yet peaceful journey. We have sought to ponder together that grand ancient question, is the universe alive? We began by gently defining what life means to us, then stretched those definitions to see if the cosmos exhibits its own unique forms of organization, growth, and metabolism. We dared to ask if the universe might possess a form of awareness or even a cosmic mind. We considered the universe as a vast, living superorganism and as a continuously unfolding seed, always growing, always creating. Throughout this entire exploration, we have seen that the idea of a living universe isn't a simple answer, not a straightforward thing that can be easily defined or proven in every familiar way. Instead, it is many things all at once. It's a rhythm felt in the grand dance of galaxies, a constant flow of energy and transformation, a complex web of interconnected systems, and perhaps a subtle underlying awareness that shapes everything. It is a profound mystery that invites endless wonder and quiet contemplation. And now, as our cosmic story gently concludes, here you are, a little further along your own personal timeline than when we began. But was it only a few moments, or many minutes, or perhaps even a full 2 hours that have passed? Or did the gentle flow of words stretch and shrink, as it often does, when the mind begins to softly settle, drifting into a peaceful space ready for sleep? So let me ask you once more gently, as I did at the very beginning of our journey. Where in the world are you listening from tonight? And exactly what time is it right now in your own quiet corner of the world? It's rather interesting, isn't it? After all this talk about cosmic life, immense mysteries, about time and existence on the grandest scale, we still find comfort and a sense of direction in the familiar numbers on a clock, in the quiet hush of the evening, and in the feeling of gently winding down for rest. If you found any peace in this quiet, expansive exploration, if these questions about the universe's aliveness, about our place within it, brought you a little comfort or helped your mind relax gently, preparing for sweet dreams, I would be ever so grateful if you took a moment to give this video a like. And if you wish to continue exploring the wonders of the universe and yourself in this calm, unhurried way, please consider subscribing and sharing this peaceful space with someone else who might also need a quiet pause in their busy life. The universe's aliveness may be a grand mystery, strange and perhaps beyond our full comprehension. But right now, here, in this very moment, it is a part of our shared story, part of the thoughts we carry. It is a deeply felt presence in every heartbeat and every breath you take, a quiet reminder of the incredible, vibrant reality we are all a part of. Sleep well, my fellow traveler, wherever and whenever you are.